Bien, vamos a continuar. Vamos ahora en esta ocasión a darle un repaso de la clase sincrónica que vimos con relación al income statement. Esta también le puede servir a manera de ejemplo para la actividad que ustedes deben de hacer para el trabajo final. En esta ocasión vamos a hablarle del income statement, accounts. Esta es una serie de explicaciones que estamos hablando de las cuentas. Ya vimos las cuentas reales, real accounts. También vimos el balance sheet con todas sus real accounts. En esta ocasión vamos a ver el income statement accounts. Como les mencioné, el income statement accounts, al income statement también le llamamos P&L. Le llamamos P&L porque es profit and loss. Profit and loss. Profit and loss. Profit and loss. Se escribe de esta forma. Profit and losses. O profit and loss. También al income statement le llamamos abreviado IS. También le llamamos gain and losses. Gain and losses. Todo esto es refiriéndonos al income statement, que en español, estado de resultados, estado de ganancias y pérdidas. Entonces, tenemos por aquí the four remaining classifications of accounts are referred to as income statement. The four remaining, this is related to that at the beginning of studying this article, we see that we have 7 groups. I explain you that depends on the company. On the chart of accounts, you can have like a 6 group, you can have 7 group, you can have 8 groups. So it depends on the company. If it is a manufacturing company, if it is a service company, it depends on the kind of the company. But usually I standard groups for any type of account, any type of company. It could be 6 groups. So we have 6 groups of accounts. That's the standard. So remaining with the 4 remaining classifications of the accounts, since the amounts in these accounts will be reported on the financial statement. So we are talking about nominal accounts. We are talking about nominal accounts. So those 4 groups are nominal accounts that we are reporting within the income statement. So this is known. It means that que es conocido. This is something known. Known means conocido. Estoy sombreando. I'm highlighting or marking in font red those words that I'm adding to the file. So, are known as the income statement accounts. So these are the income statement accounts. But remember, you can have more than that. So we have operating revenues, and operating revenues, for example, for a company that is selling like for example laptops, printers and things like that. So it could be an operating revenues like the sales of a printer. That is operating revenues. And now an operating expense, for that kind of business that is selling and purchasing printers, laptops and computers and those kind of equipment. So an operating expenses, it could be salary. Salary is an operating expense for any type of company. So we also have non-operating revenues. Non-operating revenues and gains. It means, for example, non-operating, so that you have something that is an income, but it's not the usual business. Let's say that you are selling a vehicle, that you are selling a vehicle and you have something, you have a gain on the selling of the vehicle. So you are going to book, you are going to register within the non-operating revenues. Non-operating expenses and losses. Let's say that you are selling the vehicle, but in the process, in that transaction, you are not gaining any peso. So, si no estás ganando un peso, entonces significa que tienes un gasto. Tienes un gasto en esa venta. Entonces, como es un gasto, lo vamos a registrar como non-operating expenses. So, it's a vehicle with loss. So, you lost money when you are selling this kind of vehicle. The income statement accounts are also known as temporary accounts. So it means temporary because of they are nominal accounts. So that's why that they are calling temporary accounts. So since the balances in these accounts will be closed, so it means that you have the nominal accounts that you are closing at the end of the period. So will be closed at the end of the accounting year. So let's make an example. Let's make an example of this. So let's say that you have operating revenues for the amount of 10,000 pesos. This is just an example. Then you have operating expenses, que son los gastos, por 9,000 pesos. So at the end, you're gonna have a net income of 1,000 pesos. So this is a net income. You remember that when you are preparing like a de hoja de trabajo, that is something that you need to close because this amount in all these accounts, so I'm just having like a summary here, but you may have a detail of those accounts that are operating revenues. You may have selling computers, selling laptops, selling printers, and things like that. So you may have in the chart of accounts a specific account for each type of product. Let's say printer, laptops, computers. So that is the detail for selling those products. Then you have the operating expenses. You also have a detail, for example, salary which is our salaries are expenses. You may have AFP, AS, which are the pension plan and the health insurance plan that also we collect operating expenses. And you may have promotion, depreciation. So those are expenses that are totaling 9,000 pesos. At the end, you have a net income. So this net income you are forwarding, so you need to carry forward to a balance sheet account. So you need to carry forward to a balance sheet account that we call retained earnings. So in the retained earnings, we are carrying forward that amount. Remember when you are making the closing entries that you are preparing in comparing, you are doing like a debit for operating revenues and a credit for operating expenses. At the end, you have an amount. Actually, in this example, is the net income of 1,000 pesos that you need to carry forward to a credit account for retained earnings. It is a credit because we have an income here. So, see, instead of having an income here, you may have, for example, that the expenses is 14,000 pesos, you're gonna have less 4,000 pesos. And this, instead of a net income, it is the net income, but it's not actually an income. It is a loss. So when you have a loss, that loss, instead of having a credit for the example, for previously example, in this case, that you're gonna have a loss, so that loss you need to debit. You need to debit 4,000 because you need to credit this amount. So you have a debit. If you have an income, if it is an income, you have a credit. If it is a loss, you have a debit. Then the year-end balances from all of the income statement accounts will be combined and entered as a single net amount in retained earnings, a balance sheet account within stockholders' equity, or in a proprietor's capital accounts. So that's what I already explained, that it depends you have a loss or you have a net income, but you need to carry forward that amount. No matter what, you need to carry forward to a balance sheet account. That is the expression. You need to carry forward to a balance sheet account. If an account has not had any activity in the current or recent periods, it is often omitted from the current general ledger. So, in this case, si la cuenta no tiene actividad, eso es lo que me dice, si no tiene actividad en el periodo reciente, entonces es omitida en el current, o sea, en lo que usted tiene en el General Ledger, en esas cuentas, regularmente en un sistema de computadora, si su balance es cero, que no tiene movimiento, usted le dice que le omita los ceros. Es cuestión de que usted le diga al sistema qué usted quiere ver y qué usted no quiera ver. So, hasta aquí una breve explicación de lo que es el income statement. Muchas gracias.